Hey guys, Ricky Widmer here from Most Valuable Podcast. You're about to listen to a little bit of our primetime podcast that we recorded this week. Make sure to go to BlogTalkRadio / Most Valuable Podcast for our full-length podcast that you can go ahead and download. I hope you enjoy it. I know me and Brandon did recording it. And Brandon, we got to move on into our last topic, and we're going to be talking about yet another team that we talked about, I want to say it was last week, a few weeks ago, basically the Northwestern Wildcats. And really, we talked about them saying, oh, they're on a run, they could make the tournament. Woo, it's going to be the first year that they make the tournament. Northwestern is really trying to just mess everything up. They're just trying to say, yeah, you know what, the tournament, we don't want to be there. We're used to playing golf at that time. We're used to not being down there. Ever since January 29th, they are 2-5. 2-5. Wins coming over Wisconsin and Rutgers. Their losses, Purdue, good loss. Maryland, good loss. But then Illinois twice and Indiana.
I'm gonna disagree with you on the Purdue loss.
Not a good loss?
No, they got blown out.
But it's Purdue. It's expected.
They got blown out. It's Wisconsin. They did not expect any. No one expected them to beat Wisconsin.
What I'm saying is the Purdue loss doesn't hurt more than 2 losses to the Illinois Fighting Illini.
The Purdue loss hurts in the way that they lost. They lost 80 to 59.
Because they got blown out, you're saying it's a bad loss.
Yes, it's terrible.
Let's get to
I would say that is a terrible loss. The 2 losses to Illinois are worse than terrible.
God, they're horrible. I was happy. Don't get me wrong.
You lose by 1
happier than a pig in slop.
You lose by 1 to Indiana. Go ahead, because I know you got more to say, but I'm just saying that Purdue loss, the way it happened, not a good one.
I was going to throw this out at you. Based off of everything that we've seen so far since the last time we've talked about this Wildcat team, are they still locked for the tournament?
No, I mean, they're not. They've been very, very bad. They've been very, very bad. They've lost 5 out of their last 7 games.
Not just bad. Not just very bad, but very, very bad.
Do the very varies cancel themselves out, and then is it just bad?
No, that don't happen. It's not like math class.
Okay.
Like we talked about earlier.
2 times we brought up math tonight. I don't know. Man. But they have 2 very difficult remaining games. A Michigan team that has shown that it can be strong. And then,
they've had some good wins.
And then, yes, they have. And then a Purdue team that is strong. I'm not confident. I'm not confident that they could win even one of these games because of the way that they have been playing lately. They've dropped to a 10 seed. I mean, we talked about them possibly being able to move to a 6 the last time we talked about them. But that was at a time when they were
January
on a bit 26th.
of a roll. Just to put you back into the mindset of what we were, when the video went up on YouTube, it was January 26th. That was the Thursday where they beat Nebraska. That was coming off of their win at Ohio State. So they had yet to win against Nebraska, yet to win against Indiana, and it was before they went on their big losing streak. And you know what's even worse? Last week, when we talked about teams that could be feared, guess who this idiot said was a team that could be feared in the tournament?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Was it Northwestern?
One of them was Northwestern. However, the other 2 were teams that have beaten them or could beat them in the next game in Purdue and Michigan. So I hope my credibility is up a little bit. But yeah, they're a 10th seed right now. And if I go back to the last Joe Lunardi bracket, which was, for us, it would be the 23rd would be that bracket.
They were an 8.
That we were looking off of. I'm going to pull it up. They were a 8 seed. They were an 8 seed in the East.
Yeah.
Now they're a 10th seed in the South.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where really if you lose these to me, I feel like you got to win one of these last 2. You got to win one of these last 2, and you got to win a tournament game, a conference tournament game. You have to. If you go 0-3, sayonara, you're not making the tournament.
Because I was going to say, even look at this, though. But look at this. Those 2 losses to Illinois. The loss to, I'm going to say the loss to Michigan State. Because Michigan State hasn't been that great this year. And I think that you take a look at those, you take a look at the way that they lost to Purdue, And the loss to Indiana as well, I would put that in there. You lose by 1. I don't know. I don't know, Ricky.
I don't think they're a lock.
Even if they won 1 out of these 2 games, even though, let's say they beat Michigan, they lose to Purdue, it still could be tough.
Yeah, to me, I do not. I'm going to go back. I don't think they're a lock yet. And it's one of those things where I know you're like, well, Ricky, a month ago you were saying, oh, they're a lock. They'll be fine.
We both were.
I didn't expect them to kind of, pardon my French, shit the bed like they have. I mean, this has been a bad kind of a streak from this Northwestern team, and I get kind of nervous because, like we've said, Michigan has played pretty good. They've gotten big wins, especially this later half of their schedule. I mean, they beat a Wisconsin team that also the Northwestern Wildcats beat, but this past weekend at home, they beat Purdue. They were up at half. What score were they up at half? They were up 45-30 at half, and that's when I tuned in. I was kind of flipping through the channels. I saw 45-30, and I went, huh? They're up by 15 against Purdue? And then I didn't watch the second half because I'm like, oh, they're just going to win that game. They ended up winning it by 12. I mean, Purdue kind of tried to come back, outscored them by 3 in the second half, but really it was the 24 points. Really, when you go 10 of 15 from the field in Wagner, you're going to have a good game. But if I'm Northwestern fans, I'm biting my fingernails. I am biting my fingernails because just the 2 games that you have on the schedule right now don't look too good. They do not look too good with Michigan and Purdue coming up because that Purdue team that you mentioned, yeah, they got blown out last year by that Purdue team. Blown out.
I guess I'm not hopeful only because of the way that they have played their last couple of games. Again, we talked about this earlier. It's about timing, and it's about when are you playing your best basketball. Right now, Northwestern is playing its worst basketball of the entire season. They have not been any worse this season than what they are playing like right now, and that is not something that they needed, Ricky. And who's going to step up for this team? Who is going to step up for this team, come out, be the leader, say, hey, we have got to get it together, otherwise we will have a collapse. And it won't be some big thing. It's not like they were, a huge ranked team and then fell out and didn't make the tournament. But to be what they were, to be an 8 seed just a couple weeks ago, and now to be a 10 seed that is on the verge of possibly being kicked out of the tournament before it even gets there, that is not good.
Well, and what's interesting is right now they are the 6th seed, and they are, honestly, they're a 6th seed in the conference tournament for the Big Ten, but really if they can steal a win and any of the 3 teams above them lose, they're a game behind Michigan State, Minnesota, and Maryland. So really anything can happen. If all 3 of those teams lose their last 2 and Northwestern wins them, they could jump all the way up to the 3 seed. Will they? Probably not. But the way I look at it is not about them going up. The possibility of them going down. Right now, if they stay pat and they enter the Big Ten tournament as the 6th seed, they would get a first round bye. And really the only teams that would play that first round are the 11 through 14 seeds, and they would play either the 14th seed or the 11th seed. So they would play the winner of Rutgers and Ohio State. Those 2 teams, maybe you're sitting there going, okay, we can probably win a game against either of those 2 on a neutral court. Let's say you lose to Michigan, though. You're tied with Michigan right now, by the way, Wildcat fans. If you lose to Michigan and then let's say lose to Purdue, win to Purdue, whatever you do against Purdue, let's just say you're the 7th seed. Then you got to play the 10th seeded team, which is Indiana right now. Indiana kind of playing like, whoa, we can try to play ourselves into the tournament. They're going to try to play a run. You just lost a close game to Indiana. That's another team that I wouldn't feel too confident going into a game against Indiana. Then let's say you lose 2. That means you're at 9-9. Let's say Iowa stays pat. You now fall to not just the 7th seed, but you fall to the 8th seed. That means you're playing the 9th seed. Right now, that's Illinois. That's another team you lost against. So right now, you have to be... Michigan's a must-win game. Because if you lose to Michigan, let's be honest, you're not the 6th seed, you're the 7th seed. If you lose to Michigan, you are the 7th seed. Because even if Michigan loses and you then win, you'll be tied and Michigan will own the tiebreaker over you.
Chris Collins, quote, "Make no mistake, we are going to keep fighting until somebody tells me that we have no more games. We're going to fight. I'm confident that my team is going to do that," end quote.
Can I throw another thing out there? Michigan's probably going to go 2-0. You want to know who they play after Northwestern? Nebraska. You think Nebraska's going to beat Michigan? I know anything's possible. I say it all the time. But do you really think Nebraska's going to beat Michigan? No, they're not. And I'm not saying that Northwestern doesn't have a chance. With the quote that you just read, of course you're going to play like that. If you didn't play like that, I would question your integrity for the game, but I'm not getting into that. The thing that I look at, you're Northwestern, you're going up against a hard rest of the 2 games, which could really set yourself up for failure in the conference tournament. Because right now, if Northwestern plays Indiana or Illinois after losing 2 straight games to Michigan and Purdue, I say they lose that game against Indiana or Illinois, and they're out of the tournament. And if you go 0-3, you're not making the tournament. I think you got to win at least one of your next 3. You have 3 guaranteed games. You got to win one of them. What do you think?
Ricky, they can't. I don't even think they can lose these 2 games.
You're saying they got to win these next 2? They can't even lose one of those?
No, I'm saying that
they got to win one of them.
But you're saying if they lose 3, they're out. If they lose 2 and even won a game in the conference tournament, I think it still screws them. So I think they have to beat Michigan. They have to beat Michigan.
Well,
because
they
right now it ain't looking too purty for them beating Purdue.
Well, and the thing is, not just take the national tournament, throw it out the window. Let's say this. You have to win at least one game in the conference tournament.
Have to. They have to.
Well, if that's the case, you got to beat Michigan too. Because I would rather, like I said, be the 6th seed and either play Rutgers or Iowa State than be the 7th seed and play Indiana or then be the 8th seed and play Illinois. 2 teams that you have proven as of late you cannot beat. And I know that it's like, well, Ricky, if we got another game against them, well, you don't know what those 2 teams are going to bring into I believe that the Big Ten tournament this year is in D.C., which is the Sprint Center in Washington, D.C., where the Washington Wizards play. You don't know.
You would know better than me.
You don't know what those 2 teams are going to bring into Washington, D.C. I wouldn't even put it in their hands. Like Chris Collins said, we're going to play until they tell us there ain't no games. Well, it's also, we've talked to head coaches. In our time as broadcasters, we have talked to head coaches. What's the one thing that head coaches have told us? When we try to ask them about future games, what do they always tell us?
They never want to go there.
Next
they are
man
strictly
up.
On the next game, preparing for the next game, because you go too far out in front, you will lose the next game and won't even get farther to any more games.
And I bet you if we asked Chris Collins, all he would tell us is Michigan, Michigan, Michigan.
Well, that's what they have to be focused on that right now. That's the team. I'm not even saying to not even think that you'll beat Purdue, because that is not, hopefully not something that's going into the players' heads right now. We've got to beat Michigan. We've got to be. Yeah, you're a fan.
Yeah,
you're not a fan of them, but
I'm
you know
a fan
what I mean.
In general,
Yes,
I'm a fan of the game.
You're a fan of the game, yes. And they have to beat Michigan.
No, they do.
have to beat Michigan. If they don't beat them, I am not too hopeful about them beating the Boilermakers.
Let me ask you this to round everything out. Will they? Will they make the tournament? Are you still confident in them making the tournament? And if so, give me a percentage. What's the percentage that they make it to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a percentage. I'm going to say that they will make it. And I'm going to say 52%.
I'm going to say
Yes.
they don't make it. 25% chance. I don't think they beat Michigan. I don't think they beat Purdue. Because they lose their last two, I think they play Illinois. I think they will end up being the 8th seed, play Illinois, lose to Illinois again. That loss to Illinois, nail in the coffin. Knock them out of the tournament. Hello, NIT, Northwestern. It has never made the tournament. A month ago, I had a different story. A week ago, I had a different story. But then a lot of other things happened. I would love to be proven wrong. Would love to be, because you love these underdog stories, especially of the first time. I mean, last year my Cubs did it with the World Series, but the cards are stacked against you. They are really stacked against you. And I just don't see them ending out strong. I especially don't see them beating Michigan or Purdue. But, we just got to wait and see what happens. Next week, I am sure we are going to be talking about Northwestern going into the Big Ten tournament. But this is where you guys can let us know down below.
No.
You got one more thing?
Don't you be running off too quickly. Don't think just because you're done talking, that means everyone is.
Okay.
So the last time they played Purdue, they lost. Then they lost to Illinois. So there's 2 losses. Then they won. Then they lost. Then they won. Then they lost. Then they'll have to win again. They'll beat Michigan. They'll lose to Purdue. They'll win 1 game in the conference tournament. They will not win another game in the conference tournament, but it's the 1 game that they did win. It's the win against Michigan. They will be in the tournament, but they will not go far because they are not playing their best basketball, but they will be able to gather around enough to beat Michigan. But Purdue, that is, count them out for that one. And like I said, they'll win 1 game in the tournament. And for nothing else, just because of these patterns that I'm seeing with Northwestern.
Well, you guys see it. Brandon is saying they'll make it. I am not the optimist here. I am saying that they will not make it. But before I tell you guys what you guys think, Brandon, we got to end the podcast. How do we always end the podcast? It is Swanee's final thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts, again, as sometimes they do, have nothing at all to do with sports. Mm-hmm. Well, actually,
maybe
they do
with The Bachelor.
Maybe they do. So last night, if anyone was watching, it was the 89th or 1000th, whatever, Oscars. I'm kidding. I think it was like literally the 87th or 89th Oscars. And everything seemed to be going really, really well.
89th.
Until the end of the night when La La Land won Best Picture, but then found out that they really didn't win Best Picture as there was a whole lot of commotion up there on the stage, and it ended up being Moonlight that won Best Picture. And the funny thing about it all is one tweet or a couple of tweets that I saw was, man, I thought that the biggest comeback this season was the Patriots down 28-3 to the Falcons, when in fact it may have been Moonlight's comeback to La La Land. La La Land up 3-1, and Moonlight came back to win it. I thought that was kind of funny, but I thought that was also very embarrassing last night, and I also believe that there had to have at least been 3 people that got fired after last night's Oscar debacle at the end.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to ask these guys. I want to ask you, and then I want to ask you guys.
Use guys.
This question, because I was watching The Herd today during my lunch when I came home from lunch.
You were
from
watching
work,
The Herd?
And he was talking about this. He brought up the Oscars. He brought up what you said. And he said the great thing is they didn't let it go on. They didn't say, well, what's done is done. La La Land wins the Academy or wins the Oscar. No, they came up and said, no, we are wrong. You guys did not win. You won. Cowherd kind of flipped it. Why can't we do that in sports? The touchception, why couldn't the next day the NFL said, you know what, the ref screwed up, Packers win, Seahawks lose? Why not in the Duke-Miami football game that we saw in 2015 where the refs screwed up so bad there were refs in the ACC that got fired? Why couldn't the ACC say, you know what, They screwed up. Duke gets the win. Miami doesn't. Why don't we see this in sports?
Don't think it works the same way.
Why don't we see this?
It doesn't work the same way.
And that's what Christine Leahy said. But I wanted to get your response on why don't we see this in sports?
I agree with her. It does not work the same way. It's not as easy to be able to, actually, no. Because this is how it was supposed to be the whole time. Mm-hmm. The Packers weren't supposed to win the whole time. Like Moonlight was. Like they were supposed. Like it was set. They won. They won. Mm-hmm. I feel like there was no other play La La Land could have done to beat them.
But I'm saying if it's like a call, and this is the touchception is great, where it is a call where you could see it was a reception. They called it the other way though. Why not flip it? And Christine Leahy was on the other side of, it's an award show. It's voted on. There's more tangible things there to say, no, this was supposed to happen. We're in sports. It's all up in the air, and it's the field of competition.
Exactly.
But this is where I want to get your guys' thoughts on, of course, everything we talked about, but really that, because I'm glad you brought that up during your final thoughts, because that sparked that question in my mind. So what do you think about the 1 seeds? What do you think about the Pac-12 and the Final Four, Northwestern? But most importantly, what do you guys think? Why don't we see this in sports where we flip things that we know are wrong? Outcomes happen. We know it was a bad call. We know. He also brought up the Galarraga perfect game.
Armando Galarraga.
Where it was blatantly an out. Why didn't the MLB say, you know what, we're giving him the perfect game? Didn't change the outcome. Just, bad call. We're giving you the perfect game. I want to know your thoughts down below, but I want to thank you guys, whether you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, you're watching on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, the whole kit and caboodle. Thank you guys for spending some time with us, making us a part of your day. You can check us out on Twitter. I'm at Ricky Widmer. He is at young_Swan19, or Sean Anderson thinks young_Swanson19, which is totally wrong. It's young_Swan19. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Make sure to check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Well, thank you guys for checking out this video from the Primetime Podcast. If you want to check out more, click right over here. The video's right over here. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.